Welcome back to Fantasy Fights. This time we're going to take a look at the Ring magazine and its founder, Nat Fletcher. Fletcher was born in the late 1800s, and he founded the magazine The Ring in 1922. He'd seen every champion in the ring in action, every heavyweight champion, and in 1953 he was asked to name his top fighters, and he named his top 6. Then in the 1960s, he expanded it to his top 10. Fletcher passed away in 1972 at the age of 84. So anybody after 1972 obviously did not have a chance to make his top 10. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at the top 10 fighters according to Nat Fletcher and get your feedback on what you think about them. I hope you enjoy it. Number 10, Nat Fletcher had Rocky Marciano, 5'10 and a half, 182 pounds, a 68-inch reach. He had a 49-0 record. Marciano won the heavyweight title in 1952 from Jersey Joe Walcott. And here's Marciano in action in that big fight. And this is the knockout. I believe this is the 13th round. Fletcher was very impressed with Marciano because the only other fighter that he has listed in that 20-year period is Marciano, and there is the knockout punch. Number 10, Rocky Marciano. Coming in at number 9 for Nat Fletcher was Max Schmeling from Germany, 56'10 and 4, 6'1", 192. A 76-inch reach, and his biggest win was his 1936 upset of Joe Louis in a 12th round knockout. Louis's only loss during his long career before his first retirement. Let's take a look at Schmeling in action here. This is actually the fight that he defeated Joe Louis, and you'll notice when Joe leads with his left hand, he's going to come across with his right. Did it repeatedly through the fight, eventually knocking out Joe Louis. Here is Schmeling in his 1932 fight against Jack Sharkey, in which he actually lost the title, but he won the fight. Most anybody who ever's watched the fight knows that there was something that was not real kosher about the fight. Sharkey, as you know, was given the decision, turned right around and fought Primo Carnero, who was controlled by the mob, and Sharkey was often thought to have taken a dive in that fight. Whatever the case, Schmeling dominated this fight and won the heavyweight championship in 1930, lost it in this fight in 1932. Max Schmeling at number 9. At number 8 is Gene Tunney, 65-1-1, 6 foot, 189, conqueror of Jack Dempsey, won the title in 1926. This is actually his last fight. He retired in 1929 with the title in hand and never returned. One of only 3 men that have ever done that. He was the first, Marciano the second, Lennox Lewis the third. And it's kind of an unusual stoppage. They stopped the fight. This is Tom Heaney, his last opponent. And Tunney made a lot of fight off the Dempsey fights and decided to just retire. Number 8, Gene Tunney. Fletcher had Sam Langford at number 7, nicknamed the Boston Tar Baby, 5'7 and a half, 190 pounds. He fought in every division from the welterweight all the way up to the heavyweight division. A 74-inch reach, 178, 30, and 30. You need to understand he was African American, so therefore he fought almost on a weekly basis. He was fought blind in one eye for a long period of time, but his name was synonymous with greatness. He never won any title because of his race. He was never given a shot at a title. And here he is in action. And you can see he's all over the canvas. He's low to the ground. This is him in action. Quite a battler. He had to throw fights at some point. Sometimes he would throw a fight, sometimes he wouldn't. Most of his opponents were African American. They would carry the fights, not really try to hurt each other that bad. Just all kinds of things went on. Very seldom given a shot, but a lot of boxing historians believe Sam Langford was one of the greatest. I think you're surprised to see at number 6, Joe Louis. Most boxing historians have him in the top 2 of all time. 66-3-0. 2 of those losses happened after his retirement, after he came out. 6'1", 198, 76-inch reach. His most famous victory is 1938 revenge match against Max Schmeling, which he knocked him out in the first round. Here's Louis in action against Primo Carnero, the former heavyweight champion. And Carnero was 6'5", weighed 250. And there's Louis putting him down. He knocks him out in the 6th round. I don't think there's any questions about the Brown Bomber's greatness. I think the surprise is that he's listed this low at number 6. Fight is finally stopped. This is Jack Sharkey. This is actually Sharkey's last fight against Joe Louis. Louis defeated almost every former champion on his way up. And he comes in at number 6, Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. At number 5, Nat Fletcher has Jim Corbett, better known as James J. Corbett or Gentleman Jim. 11-4-3. That was deceiving. Remember, in most states when Corbett was fighting, boxing was against the law. So a lot of times he fought what's called no decision fights. 6'1", 179, 73-inch reach. Won the heavyweight title from John L. Sullivan in 1892 and lost it in this fight right here in 1897. Now I'm going to let the pictures just speak for themselves. I'm not going to try to persuade you one way or the other. Corbett weighed 178 in this fight. Fitzsimmons, who's on the right there, now he's on the left, is going to come in at 167. Here's a close-up of Corbett. Thomas Edison was a real big boxing fan, so he made this first video, and Corbett was the champion at the time, so he got him sparring. And this is a real good visual. Here he is back against, this is where Bob Fitzsimmons goes to the canvas. Fleischer has him number 5 ahead of Joe Louis. And he's not a real big fighter either. He was actually a banker before he went into boxing. Fitzsimmons was from New Zealand. Here is Corbett with Gene Tunney, showing him the tricks of the trade when Tunney got the title. And Gene Tunney said he learned a lot from James J. Corbett. Can see why he was called a gentleman. His hair was perfect. This fight that you're watching was all over the United States. They watched this fight in movie theaters. It was the first pay-per-view. At number 4, the Manasseh Mauler, Jack Dempsey, 53-6-8, 6'1", 190, 73-inch reach. It was hard to find his biggest fight. Could have been Jess Willard. Could have been the Faripo fight. I put the 1927 victory over Jack Sharkey in a 7th round knockout. Here he is in his most famous fight in 1923 against the wild bull of the Pampas, Luis Firpo. And this was a 2-round fight. Dempsey was knocked out of the ring, got back in it. Once again, I'm just going to let the pictures speak for themselves. Fleischer has him number 4 on the all-time list, and he was a very popular fighter. He was voted the greatest boxer of the first half of the 20th century in 1950, ahead of Joe Louis. And you can see a lot of wrestling. This was in 1923. At number 3 is Bob Fitzsimmons. Came out of Australia, New Zealand, 68, 8-4, 5'11.5", 167 pounds. Won the heavyweight championship at weighing 167 pounds against Jim Corbett in 1897. He lost the title in 1899. And here is the same footage that we looked at a little bit earlier in action. And this is the knockout. Now, this fight deteriorated. The film actually deteriorated. And this is all that remains of the knockout. It was called a solar plex punch. Hits Corbett in the stomach. You can see Corbett supposedly paralyzed, can't get up. Fitzsimmons was losing the fight. He ends up winning the heavyweight championship of the world. He is number 3 on the list. This is him on the white trunks here on the left. And this was later in his career, but it gives you kind of a close-up of what he looked like. He fought well into his 50s. Bob Fitzsimmons. He won the middleweight title and the light heavyweight title. At number 2, James J. Jeffries, the Boilermaker. 19-1-2. He defeated Corbett twice, Fitzsimmons twice, retired undefeated, but was coaxed out of retirement for his 1910 fight against Jack Johnson. 6'1.5", 218. Now, footage of his fights, we really don't have many. This one here was against Gus Rulin. Very poor quality. You can see just a lot of wrestling. Jeffries was considered to be very strong. He would lose fights 10, 15 rounds, but win by a 20-round knockout. That's him with his shoulder down on the right-hand side there. Nat Fletcher had Jack Johnson as his greatest fighter of all time. And Jack Johnson was a really solid fighter. 54, 11-9, 6'1.5", 208 pounds, 74-inch reach. He was an incredible boxer. Remember, he was African American, so he fought a lot of disadvantages throughout his career. Here he is in training. You can see well developed, especially for that day and time. Extremely strong. He could fight just about any style that an opponent wanted to fight. Here he is in his 1910 fight, the first super fight in 1910 between Jeffries coming out of retirement. Jeffries was undefeated, trying to take the title away from the African-American Jack Johnson. This fight took place in Reno, Nevada. Please hit the like button and subscribe. And I'd love to know what you think about his top 10. Now we're going to take a look at the top fighters of the 1960s. This is according to me. I came up with a list a few months ago. And we're going to take a look at these top 4 fighters. Now keep in mind, Nat Fletcher was the editor and publisher of Ring Magazine in the 1960s. He saw all these fighters in their prime and refused to rank any of them. And he was asked numerous times about these fighters, but he did not rank them. First fighter we're going to look at is Ernie Terrell. He was a WBA champion from 1965 to 1967 when he lost the title to Muhammad Ali. Stood 6'6", 200 pounds. He would have been taller than every one of the fighters on Nat Fletcher's list. He had an 82-inch reach. He would have had a better reach than any of them. And here he is in the black trunks. How do you think he measures up against Nat Fletcher's top 10? Do you see him being able to compete? Do you see him being successful? Let me know. Send me a comment. Love to hear from you. The next fighter we're going to look at is Joe Frazier. He was in his prime from 67 to 73, 32-4-1, 5'11 and a half, 205 pounds. His best win was against Muhammad Ali. Here he is in action against Jerry Corey in their 1969 fight. Nat Fletcher was at ringside in this fight. He saw Frazier up close. How do you think he measures against these other fighters? Here's Frazier against George Chuvalo, Madison Square Garden as well. This was his first big fight. He won on a fourth round knockout in this fight. How does he measure against these former champions? Smoking Joe Frazier. The next fighter we're going to take a look at is Sonny Liston, heavyweight champion from 1962 to 64. He was in his prime from 58 to 63, 6'1", 218. He would have weighed more than any of the fighters in Fletcher's top 10. Here he is in the white trunks against Cleveland Williams. How does he measure up against these fighters? Do you think he could stand up to Bob Fitzsimmons? Fitzsimmons would be giving up almost 50 pounds. Jim Corbett would be giving up 40 pounds. How does Sonny Liston measure up? What are your thoughts? Send me your comment. Let me know what you think. The top fighter of the decade was Muhammad Ali or Cassius Clay. Nat Fletcher got a lot of pressure from the public, leaving him out of his top 10. One of the reasons Fletcher said he would not rank Muhammad Ali in the top 10 was because he would have to force Rocky Marciano out of the top 10. And in his words, he said Clay could never have beaten Marciano. Here's Ali in action against Ernie Terrell. Could he have beaten any of these fighters in the top 10? Please let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.